Shakespeare's Histories, The King's Shadow, Episode 2. King Richard II has banished his cousin, Henry Bolingbroke, hoping this move will shield himself from suspicion in the murder of his uncle, Thomas of Woodstock, the Duke of Gloucester. To add insult to this injury, the king has stolen Bolingbroke's inheritance to finance a military expedition to Ireland. But the displaced Bolingbroke is on his way back to England, gathering supporters as he travels. Unaware of this looming threat, Richard's close friends, Bushy and Bagot, keep Queen Isabel company while the king is away.
Madam, your majesty is too much sad. You promised when you parted with the king to lay aside life-harming heaviness and entertain a cheerful disposition.
To please the king I did. To please myself I cannot do it. Yet I know no cause why I should welcome such a guest as grief, save bidding farewell to so sweet a guest as my sweet Richard. Yet again, methinks some unborn sorrow ripe in fortune's womb is coming towards me, and my inward soul with nothing trembles. At something it grieves more than with parting from my lord the king.
Each substance of a grief hath 20 shadows, which shows like grief itself, but is not so. For sorrow's eye, glazed with blinding tears, divides one thing entire to many objects. So your sweet majesty, looking awry upon your lord's departure, find shapes of grief more than himself to wail, which, looked on as it is not but shadows of what it is not. Then, thrice gracious queen, more than your lord's departure, weep not, more is not seen.
It may be so, but yet my inward soul persuades me it is otherwise. Howe'er it be, I cannot but be sad.
God save your majesty, and well met, friends. I hope the king is not yet shipped for Ireland.
Why hopest thou so? 'Tis better hope he is, for his designs crave haste, his haste good hope. Then wherefore dost thou hope he is not shipped?
That he, our hope, might have retired his power, and driven into despair an enemy's hope, who strongly hath set footing in this land. The banished Bolingbroke repeals himself, and with uplifted arms is safe arrived at Ravenspur.
Now, God in heaven forbid.
Oh, madam, 'tis too true, and that is worse. The Lord Northumberland, his son, young Harry Percy, the ladies, Ross and Willoughby, with all their powerful friends, are fled to him.
Why have you not proclaimed Northumberland and all the rest revolted faction traitors?
We have, whereupon the Countess Worcester hath broke her staff, resigned her stewardship, and all the household servants fled with her to Bolingbroke.
So, Green, thou art the midwife to my woe, and Bolingbroke my sorrow's dismal heir. Now hath my soul brought forth her prodigy, and I, a gasping, new-delivered mother, have woe to woe, sorrow to sorrow joined.
Despair not, madam.
Who shall hinder me? I will despair, and be at enmity with cousining Hope. He is a flatterer, a parasite, a keeper back of death, who gently would dissolve the bands of life which false Hope lingers in extremity.
Here comes the Duke of York.
With signs of war about his aged neck. Uncle, for God's sake, speak comfortable words.
Comfort's in heaven, and we are on the earth where nothing lives but crosses, cares, and grief. Your husband he is gone to save far off, whilst others come to make him lose at home. Here am I left to underprop his land, who weak with age cannot support myself.
My lord, your son was gone before I came.
He was? Why, so, go all which way it will. The nobles, they are fled, the commons, they are cold, and will, I fear, revolt on Hereford's side. Sirrah, get thee to Pleshy, to my sister Gloucester. Bid her send me presently £1,000. Hold, take my ring.
My lord, I had forgot to tell your lordship. Today, as I came by, I called there, but I shall grieve you to report the rest.
What is't, knave?
An hour before I came, the Duchess died.
God, for his mercy, what a tide of woes comes rushing on this woeful land at once. I know not what to do. I would to God, so my untruth had not provoked him to it, the king had cut off my head with my brother's. What, are there no posts dispatched for Ireland? How shall we do for money for these wars? Come, sister, cousin, I would say, pray pardon me. Bushy, Green, will you go muster men? If I know how or which way to order these affairs, thus disorderly thrust into my hands, never believe me. Both are my kinsmen. The one's my sovereign, whom both my oath and duty bids defend. The other again is my kinsman, whom the king hath wronged, whom conscience and my kindred bids to right. Well, somewhat we must do. Come, cousin, I'll dispose of you. Gentlemen, go muster up your men, and meet me presently at Berkeley Castle. I should to Pleshy too, but time will not permit. All is uneven, and everything is left at 6 and 7.
The Duke of York escorts the Queen from the palace. Bushy, Green, and Bagot remain behind.
The wind sits fair for news to go to Ireland, but none returns. For us to levy power proportionable to the enemy is all impossible.
Besides, our nearness to the king in love is near the hate of those love not the king.
And that's the wavering commons, for their love lies in their purses, and whoso empties them by so much fills their hearts with deadly hate.
Wherein the king stands generally condemned.
If judgment lie in them, then so do we, because we ever have been near the king.
Well, I will for refuge straight to Bristol Castle.
Thither will I with you, for little office the hateful commons will perform for us, except like curs to tear us all to pieces. Will you go along with us?
No. I will to Ireland, to his majesty. Farewell. If heart's presages be not vain, we three here part that ne'er shall meet again.
That's as York thrives to beat back Bolingbroke.
Alas, poor Duke, the task he undertakes is numbering sands and drinking oceans dry. Where one on his side fights, thousands will fly. Farewell at once, for all, and ever.
Well, we may meet again.
I fear me never.
Defying his banishment, Bolingbroke lands on England's eastern coast, an area of strong Lancastrian influence. He is met there by retainers of his late father, as well as the Earl of Northumberland.
How far is it, my lord, to Berkeley now?
Believe me, noble lord, I am a stranger here in Gloucestershire. These high, wild hills and rough, uneven ways draws out our miles and makes them wearisome. And yet your fair discourse hath been as sugar, making the hard way sweet and delectable.
Of much less value is my company than your good words. But who comes here?
It is my son, young Harry Percy, sent from my sister Worcester whensoe'er. Harry, how fares your aunt?
I had thought, my lord, to have learned her health of you.
Why, is she not with the queen?
No, my good lord, she hath forsook the court, broken her staff of office, and dispersed the household of the king.
What was her reason? She was not so resolved when last we spake together.
Because your lordship was proclaimed traitor. But she, my lord, is gone to Ravenspur to offer service to the Duke of Hereford, and sent me over by Berkeley to discover what power the Duke of York hath levied there, then with directions to repair to Ravenspur.
Have you forgot the Duke of Hereford, boy?
No, my good lord, for that is not forgot, which ne'er I did remember. To my knowledge, I never in my life did look on him.
Then learn to know him now. This is the Duke.
My gracious lord, I tender you my service, such as it is, being tender, raw, and young, which elder days shall ripen and confirm to more approved service and desert.
I thank thee, gentle Percy, and be sure, I count myself in nothing else so happy as in a soul remembering my good friends. And as my fortune ripens with thy love, it shall be still thy true love's recompense. My heart this covenant makes, my hand thus seals it.
How far is it to Berkeley? And what stir keeps good old York there with his men of war?
There stands the castle by yon tuft of trees, armed with 300 men, as I have heard.
Here comes the ladies Ross and Willoughby, bloody with spurring, fiery red with haste.
Welcome, ladies. I know your love pursues a banished traitor. All my treasury is yet but unfelt thanks, which, more enriched, shall be your love and labor's recompense.
Oh, your presence makes us rich, most noble lord.
And far surmounts our labor to attain it.
Evermore thanks to exchequer of the poor, which, till my infant fortune comes to years, stands for my bounty. But who comes here?
It is my lord of Berkeley, as I guess.
My lord of Hereford, my message is to you.
My lord, my answer is to Lancaster, and I am come to seek that name in England, and I must find that title in your tongue before I make reply to aught you say.
Mistake me not, my lord. 'Tis not my meaning to raise one title of your honor out. To you, my lord, I come, what lord you will, from the most gracious regent of this land, the Duke of York, to know what pricks you on to take advantage of the absent time and fright our native peace with self-born arms.
I shall not need transport my words by you. Here comes his grace in person. My noble uncle.
Show me thy humble heart and not thy knee, whose duty is deceivable and false.
My gracious uncle.
Tut, tut!
Grace me no grace, no uncle me no uncle. I am no traitor's uncle, and that word grace in an ungracious mouth is but profane. Why have those banished and forbidden legs dared once to touch a dust of England's ground? Comest thou because the anointed king is hence? Why, foolish boy, the king is left behind, and in my loyal bosom lies his power. Were I but now the lord of such hot youth as when brave Gaunt, thy father, and myself rescued the Black Prince, that young Mars of men, from forth the ranks of many thousand French, oh, then how quickly should this arm of mine, now prisoner to the palsy, chastise thee, and minister correction to thy fault.
My gracious uncle, let me know my fault. On what condition stands it, and wherein?
In condition of the worst degree, in gross rebellion and detested treason. Thou art a banished man, and here art come before the expiration of thy time, in braving arms against thy sovereign.
As I was banished Hereford. But as I come for Lancaster. And noble uncle, I beseech your grace, look on my wrongs with an indifferent eye. You are my father. For methinks in you I see old Gaunt alive. Oh then, my father, will you permit that I shall stand condemned, a wandering vagabond, my rights and royalties plucked from my arms perforce and given away to upstart unthrifts? Wherefore was I born? If that my cousin king be king of England, it must be granted I am Duke of Lancaster. I am denied to sue my livery here. My father's goods are all distrained and sold. What would you have me do? I am a subject, and I challenge law. Attorneys are denied me, and therefore, personally, I lay my claim to my inheritance of free descent.
The noble duke hath been too much abused.
It stands your grace upon to do him right.
The base by his endowments are made great.
I have had feeling of my cousin's wrongs, and labored all I could to do him right. But in this kind to come, in braving arms, to find out right with wrong it may not be, and you that do abet him in this kind, cherish rebellion and are rebels all.
The noble duke hath sworn his coming is but for his own, and for the right of that we all have strongly sworn to give him aid. And let him ne'er see joy that breaks that oath.
Well, I see the issue of these arms. I cannot mend it, I must needs confess, because my power is weak and all ill left. But if I could, by him that gave me life, I would arrest you all and make you stoop unto the sovereign mercy of the king. But since I cannot, be it known to you, I do remain as neuter. So fare you well, unless you please to enter in the castle and there repose you for this night.
An offer, uncle, that we will accept. But we must win your grace to go with us to Bristol Castle, which they say is held by Bushy, Green, and their accomplices, the caterpillars of the Commonwealth, which I have sworn to weed and pluck away.
Maybe I will go with you, but yet I'll pause, for I am loath to break our country's laws. Nor friends nor foes to me welcome you are. Things past redress are now with me past care.
The English nobles prepare for war between Richard and Henry. The Countess of Salisbury summoned supporters of the King in Wales, including troops under the command of Owen Glendower.
Lady Salisbury, we stayed 10 days and hardly kept our countrymen together, and yet we hear no tidings from the king. Therefore we will disperse ourselves. Farewell.
Stay yet another day, thou trusty Welshman. The king reposeth all his confidence in thee.
'Tis thought the king is dead. We will not stay. The bay trees in our country are all withered, and meteors fright the fixed stars of heaven. The pale-faced moon looks bloody on the earth, and lean-looked prophets whisper fearful change. These signs forerun the death of all our kings. Farewell! Our countrymen are gone and fled, as well assured Richard their king is dead.
Ah, Richard, with the eyes of heavy mind, I see thy glory like a shooting star fall to the base earth from the firmament. Thy sun sets weeping in the lowly west, witnessing storms to come. Woe and unrest.
Bushy and Green, I will not vex your souls with too much urging your pernicious lives, for 'twere no charity, yet to wash your blood from off my hands, here in the public view I will unfold some causes of your deaths. You have misled a prince, a royal king, a happy gentleman in blood and lineaments, by you unhappied and disfigured clean. You have, in manner with your sinful hours, made a divorce betwixt his queen and him, broke the possession of a royal bed, and stained the beauty of a fair queen's cheeks with tears drawn from her eyes by your foul wrongs. Myself, a prince by fortune of my birth, near to the king in blood and near in love till you did make him misinterpret me, have stooped my neck under your injuries, and sighed my English breath in foreign clouds, eating the bitter bread of banishment. This and much more than twice all this, condemns you to the death.
More welcome is the stroke of death to me than Bolingbroke to England. Lords, farewell.
My comfort is that heaven will take our souls, and plague injustice with the pains of hell.
My lord Northumberland, see them dispatched. Uncle, you say the queen is at your house. For God's sake, fairly let her be entreated. Take special care my greetings be delivered.
A gentleman of mine I will dispatch with letters of your love to her at large.
Thanks, gentle uncle. Come, lords, away to fight with Glendower and his accomplices. A while to work, and after, holiday.
Delayed by adverse weather sailing back from Ireland, King Richard and the Duke of Aumerle finally land on the coast of Wales. His supporters, including the Bishop of Carlisle, the Countess of Salisbury, and the Lady Scroop, hurry to join him.
Harlech Castle, call they this at hand?
Yea, my lord. How brooks your grace the air after your late tossing on the breaking seas?
Needs must I like it well. I weep for joy to stand upon my kingdom once again. Dear earth, I do salute thee with my hand, though rebels wound thee with their horses' hoofs. Feed not thy sovereign's foe, my gentle earth, but let thy spiders that suck up thy venom and heavy-gated toads lie in their way, doing annoyance to the treacherous feet which with usurping steps do trample thee. Mock not my senseless conjuration, lords. This earth shall have a feeling, and these stones prove armed soldiers ere her native king shall falter under foul rebellion's arms.
Fear not, my lord, the power that made you king hath power to keep you king in spite of all. The means that heaven yields must be embraced and not neglected. Else if heaven would, and we will not, heaven's offer we refuse, the proffered means of succor and redress.
He means, my lord, that we are too remiss, whilst Bolingbroke, through our security, grows strong and great in substance and in power.
Discomfortable cousin, knowst thou not that when the searching eye of heaven is hid behind the globe, and lights the lower world, then thieves and robbers range abroad unseen, and murders and in outrage boldly hear. But when from under this terrestrial ball he fires the proud tops of the eastern pines, then murders, treasons, and detested sins stand bare and naked, trembling at themselves. So when this thief, this traitor, Bolingbroke, shall see us rising in our throne, the east, his treasons will sit blushing in his face, not able to endure the sight of day. Not all the water in the rough, rude sea can wash the balm off from an anointed king. For every one that Bolingbroke hath pressed to lift shrewd steel against our golden crown, God for his Richard hath in heavenly pay a glorious angel. Then if angels fight, weak men must fall, for heaven still guards the right. Welcome, Salisbury. How far off lies your power?
Nor near nor farther off, my gracious lord, than this weak arm. Discomfort guides my tongue, and bids me speak of nothing but despair. Oh, call back yesterday, bid time return, and thou shalt have 12,000 fighting men. Today, unhappy day too late, o'erthrows thy joys, friends, fortune, and thy state. For Glendower's forces, hearing thou wert dead, are gone to Bolingbroke, dispersed and fled.
Comfort, my liege. Why looks your grace so pale?
But now the blood of 20,000 men did triumph in my face, and they are fled. Until so much blood thither come again, have I not reason to look pale and dead?
Comfort, my liege. Remember who you are.
I had forgotten myself. Am I not king? Is not the king's name 40,000 names? Arm, my name, a puny subject strikes at thy great glory. Look not to the ground, ye favorites of a king. Are we not high? High be our thoughts. I know my uncle York hath power enough to serve our turn. But who comes here?
More health and happiness betide my liege than can my care-tuned tongue deliver him.
Scroop, mine ear is open and my heart prepared. Cry, woe, destruction, ruin, and decay. The worst is death, and death will have his day.
Glad am I that your highness is so armed to bear the tidings of calamity. Like an unseasonable stormy day, which makes the silver rivers drown their shores, so high above his limits swells the rage of Bolingbroke, covering your fearful land with hard, bright steel, and hearts harder than steel. Whitebeards have armed their thin and hairless scalps against thy majesty, and boys with women's voices strive to speak big and clap their female joints in stiff, unwieldy arms against thy crown. Yea, distaff women manage rusty bills against thy seat. Both young and old rebel, and all goes worse than I have power to tell.
Too well thou tell'st a tale so ill. What has become of Bushy? Where is Green? I warrant they've made peace with Bolingbroke.
Peace have they made with him indeed, my lord.
Oh, villains! Vipers, damned without redemption! Snakes in my heart blood warmed that sting my heart. 2 Judases, each one twice worse than Judas. Would they make peace? Terrible hell make war upon their spotted souls for this offense!
Again uncurse their souls! Their peace is made with heads and not with hands. Those whom you curse have felt the worst of death's destroying wound, for both of them at Bristol lost their heads.
Oh!
Where is the Duke, my father, with his power?
No matter where. Of comfort no one speak. Let's talk of graves, of worms and epitaphs. Let's choose executors and talk of wills. And yet not so, for what can we bequeath save our deposed bodies to the ground? Our lands, our lives, and all are Bolingbroke's. And nothing can we call our own but death. And that small model of the barren earth which serves as paste and cover to our bones. For God's sake, let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the death of kings. How some have been deposed, some slain in war, some haunted by the ghosts they have deposed, some poisoned by their wives, some sleeping killed. All murdered. For within the hollow crown that rounds the mortal temples of a king keeps death his court, and there the antic sits, scoffing his state, and grinning at his pomp, allowing him a breath, a little scene, to monarchize, be feared and kill with looks, infusing him with self and vain conceit, as if this flesh which walls about our life were brass impregnable, and humored thus, comes at the last, and with a little pin bores through his castle wall, and farewell, king. Cover your heads, and mock not flesh and blood with solemn reverence. Throw away respect, tradition, form, and ceremonious duty, for you have but mistook me all this while. I live with bread, like you. Feel, want, taste, grief, need friends. Subjected thus, how can you say to me I am a king?
My lord, wise men ne'er wail their present woes, but presently prevent the ways to wail.
My father hath a power, inquire of him, and learn to make a body of a limb.
thou chidest me well. Proud Bolingbroke, I come to change blows with thee for our day of doom. Say, Scroop, where lies our uncle with his power? Speak sweetly, friend, although thy looks be sour.
My tongue hath but a heavier tale to say. Your Uncle York is joined with Bolingbroke, and all your northern castles yielded up, and all your southern followers in arms upon his faction.
Thou hast said enough. Beshrew thee, cousin, which didst lead me forth of that sweet way I was in to despair. What say you now? What comfort have we now? Go to Flint Castle, there I'll pine away. A king, woe's slave, shall kingly woe obey. That power I have, discharge, and let them go to ear the land that has some hope to grow, for I have none. Let no one speak again to alter this, for counsel is but vain.
My liege, one word.
He does me double wrong, that wounds me with the flatteries of his tongue. Discharge my followers. Let them hence away, from Richard's night to Bolingbroke's fair day.
Bolingbroke pursues Richard through Wales, though he insists that he is only seeking the restoration of his dukedom. Northumberland, quickly becoming Bolingbroke's closest friend and supporter, gathers troops to ambush the king at Flint Castle.
So that by this intelligence we learn the Welsh troops are dispersed, and Salisbury is gone to meet the king, who lately landed with some few private friends upon this coast.
The news is very fair and good, my lord. Richard, not far from hence, hath hid his head.
It would beseem the Lord Northumberland to say King Richard. Alack the heavy day when such a sacred king should hide his head.
Your grace mistakes. Only to be brief left I his title out.
The time hath been, would you have been so brief with him, he would have been so brief with you to shorten you for taking so the head your whole head's length.
Mistake not, uncle, further than you should.
Take not, good cousin, further than you should, lest you mistake. The heavens are o'er our heads.
I know it, uncle, and oppose not myself against their will. But who comes here? Welcome, Harry. What, will not this castle yield?
The castle royally is manned, my lord, against thy entrance.
Royally? Why, it contains no king.
Yes, my good lord, it doth contain a king. King Richard lies within the limits of yon lime and stone.
Noble lords, go to the rude ribs of that ancient castle, through brazen trumpets and the breath of parley into his ruined ears, and thus deliver: Henry Bolingbroke, on both his knees, doth kiss King Richard's hand, and sends allegiance and true faith of heart to his most royal person, hither come, e'en at his feet, to lay my arms and power, provided that my banishment repealed and lands restored again be freely granted. If not, I'll use the advantage of my power, and lay the summer's dust with showers of blood rained from the wounds of slaughtered Englishmen, the which, how far off from the mind of Bolingbroke it is such crimson tempest should bedrench the fresh green lap of fair King Richard's land, my stooping duty tenderly shall show. Go, signify as much while we here march upon the grassy carpet of this plain.
Ave res.
Ave res.
See, King Richard doth himself appear.
Yet looks he like a king. Behold, his eye, as bright as is the eagle's, lightens forth controlling majesty. Alack, alack for woe, that any harm should stain so fair a show.
We are amazed, and thus long have we stood to watch the fearful bending of thy knee, because we thought ourself thy lawful king. If we be not, show us the hand of God that hath dismissed us from our stewardship. For well we know, no hand of blood and bone can grip the sacred handle of our scepter, unless he do profane, steal, or usurp. Tell Bolingbroke, beyond methinks he stands, that every stride he makes upon my land is dangerous treason. For ere the crown he looks for live in peace, 10,000 bloody crowns of mothers' sons shall ill become the flower of England's face, change the complexion of her maid-pale peace to scarlet indignation, and bedew her pastures' grass with faithful English blood.
The King of Heaven forbid our Lord the King should so with civil and uncivil arms be rushed upon. Thy thrice noble cousin Harry Bolingbroke doth humbly kiss thy hand, and by the honorable tomb he swears that stands upon your royal grandsire's bones, and by the buried hand of warlike Gaunt, and by the worth and honour of himself, his coming hither hath no further scope than for his lineal royalties, and to beg enfranchisement immediate on his knees. Which on thy royal party granted once, his glittering arms he will commend to rust, his barbed steeds to stables, and his heart to faithful service of your majesty.
Northumberland, say thus the king returns. His noble cousin is right welcome hither, and all the number of his fair demands shall be accomplished without contradiction. We do debase ourselves, cousin, do we not, to look so poorly and to speak so fair? Shall we call back Northumberland and send defiance to the traitor and so die?
No, good my lord, let's fight with gentle words, till time lend friends and friends their helpful swords.
Oh, God. Oh, God, that ere this tongue of mine that laid the sentence of dread banishment on yon proud man should take it off again with words of sooth. Oh, that I were as great as is my grief, or lesser than my name, or that I could forget what I have been, or not remember what I must be now.
Northumberland comes back from Bolingbroke.
What must the king do now? Must he submit? The king shall do it. Must he be deposed? The king shall be contented. Must he lose the name of king? A God's name, let it go! I'll give my jewels for a set of beads, my gorgeous palace for a hermitage, my scepter for a palmer's walking staff, and my large kingdom for a little grave, little grave, an obscure grave. Or I'll be buried in the king's highway, some way of common trade where subjects' feet may hourly trample on their sovereign's head. For on my heart they tread now whilst I live, and buried once, why not upon my head? Aumerle, thou weepst, my tender-hearted cousin. We'll make foul weather with despised tears. Our sighs and they shall lodge the summer corn, and make a dearth in this revolting land. Most mighty prince, my lord Northumberland, what says King Bolingbroke? Will his majesty give Richard leave to live till Richard die? You make a leg, and Bolingbroke says aye.
My lord, in the base court he doth attend to speak with you. May it please you to come down.
Down, down I come, like glistering Phaeton, wanting the manage of unruly jades. In the base court, where kings grow base, do come at traitors' calls and do them grace.
What says his majesty?
Sorrow and grief of heart makes him speak fondly like a frantic man. Yet he is come.
Stand all apart and show fair duty to his majesty. My gracious lord.
Fair cousin, you debase your princely knee to make the base earth proud with kissing it. Up, cousin, up. Your heart is up, I know, thus high at least, although your knee be low.
My gracious lord, I come but for mine own.
Your own is yours, and I am yours, and all.
So far be mine, my most redoubted lord, as my true service shall deserve your love.
Well you deserve, they well deserve to have that know the strongest and surest way to get. Uncle York, give me your hands. Nay, dry your eyes. Tears show their love, but want their remedies. Cousin, I am too young to be your father, though you are old enough to be my heir. What you will have, I'll give, and willing, too, for do we must what force will have us do. Set on towards London, cousin, is it so?
Yea, my good lord.
Then I must not say no.
Bolingbroke and Northumberland's forces escort Richard to London. Queen Isabel remains confined at the Duke of York's estate, uncertain of the safety and status of her husband.
What sport shall we devise here in this garden to drive away the heavy thought of care?
Madam, we'll dance.
My legs can keep no measure in delight, when my poor heart no measure keeps in grief. Therefore no dancing, girl, some other sport.
Madam, we'll tell tales.
Of sorrow or of joy?
Of either, madam.
Of neither, girl. For of joy being altogether wanting, it doth remember me the more of sorrow. Or if of grief being altogether had, it adds more sorrow to my want of joy.
Madame, I'll sing.
'Tis well that thou hast cause. But thou shouldst please me better wouldst thou weep.
I could weep, madame. Would it do you good?
And I could sing, would weeping do me good, and never borrow any tear of thee.
Madame, nous jouerons de jeu de paume?
Jeu de pomme, Alice, ma foi. Je suis trop triste pour le jeu de pomme. C'est une bonne idée, mais non, je ne pense pas. Mais arrête, voici le jardinier. Let's step into the shadow of these trees. They'll talk of state, for everyone does so against a change. Woe is forerun with woe.
Go thou, and like an executioner, cut off the heads of too fast-growing sprays that look too lofty in our commonwealth. All must be even in our government. You thus employed, I will go root away the noisome weeds, which, without profit, suck the soil's fertility from wholesome flowers.
Why should we, in the compass of a pale, keep law and form and due proportion when our sea-walled garden, the whole land, is full of weeds, her fairest flowers choked up, her knots disordered, and her wholesome herbs swarming with caterpillars?
Hold thy peace. He that hath suffered this disordered spring hath now himself met with the fall of leaf. Oh, what pity is it that he had not so trimmed and dressed his land as we this garden. We at time of year do wound the bark, the skin of our fruit trees, lest being overproud in sap and blood, with too much riches it confound itself. Had he done so to great and growing men, they might have lived to bear and he to taste their fruits of duty. Superfluous branches we lop away, that bearing boughs may live. Had he done so, himself had borne the crown, which waste of idle hours have quite thrown down.
What, think ye then the king shall be deposed?
Depressed he is already, and deposed 'tis doubt he will be. Letters came last night to a dear friend of the good Duke of York's that tell bleak tidings.
Oh, I am pressed to death through want of speaking. How dares thy harsh, rude tongue sound this unpleasing news? Why dost thou say King Richard is deposed?
Pardon me, madam. Little joy have I to breathe this news, yet what I say is true. King Richard, he is in the mighty hold of Bolingbroke. Post you to London, and you will find it so. I speak no more than everyone doth know.
Nimble mischance that art so light of foot. Doth not thy embassage belong to me? And am I last that knows it? Oh, thou think'st to serve me last, that I may longest keep thy sorrow in my breast. Come, ladies, go, to meet at London, London's king in woe. Gardener, for telling me these news of woe. Pray God the plants thou grafts may never grow. Alice, préparez pour le voyage immédiatement vite.
Poor queen, so that thy state might be no worse, I would my skill were subject to thy curse. Here did she drop a tear, here in this place I'll set a bank of rue, sour herb of grace. Rue, even for Ruth, here shortly shall be seen, in the remembrance of a weeping queen.
You've been listening to Shakespeare's Histories, Season 1, The King's Shadow, presented by Brave Spirits Theatre, directed by Charlene V. Smith. This recording is produced and edited by Patrick Flynn.